Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Culture Hour. Today, I bring back a familiar face, a strategic partner, an amazing career coach. And I'm going to let her introduce herself again in just a second. But my name is Shelley Smith, one of the founders of the Culture Hour. And we are thrilled to bring you yet another episode. And today we're going to talk about ghosting. You probably have heard a lot about it, experienced it. Hopefully you're not a person who's done it to somebody, though. And we're not going to talk about dating ghosting. We're going to talk about workplace ghosting. So with that said, please introduce yourself as the best career coach ever. But tell the group a little bit about yourself again and just remind them who you are.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shelley. My name is Kayla Key of Coached by Kayla. I run a small business dedicated to career coaching and consultation. I work directly with job seekers in the job market, but I also get to work directly with employers and hiring managers.
Beautiful, beautiful. So the thing I love about working with you is you do have all those different perspectives. And from the employee side as well as the employer side. And I think that gives you a huge vantage point to be able to work on both sides of the fence. So as we talk about company culture itself, this word ghosting keeps coming up. It's a term that's been out there for a little while, but I would love for you to talk to us today about what it is that you've seen with some of your different clients, whether they are individual employees or an entire company that have either experienced ghosting, ghosted themselves, and kind of why is it happening, and is there anything we can do to prevent it? So that was a whole lot. So I'm going to let you. I'm going to let you start where you want to. Why is it happening? Why do you think it is happening?
That's an excellent question, Shelley. And there are a few different reasons that it's happening. But I think you made a great point of saying that I get to gather so many different perspectives from my clients. And I love that part of my work because I get to hear about what's actually happening in our job market and how it's impacting job seekers and candidates, but also how it's impacting employers and hiring managers. Yeah. So like you said, ghosting was a term that kind of started with like in the dating and personal relationship world, right? Yeah. But kind of trickled down into the professional world as well. So it started with employers who were kind of just disappearing from the recruitment process. So they may send an email expressing interest in one or more candidates, and then they may even start with like a phone screening or an initial interview, but then candidates wouldn't hear back from them for the foreseeable future, right? So that was kind of happening in the job market. And of course, that was really frustrating for a lot of candidates. You know, a lot of job seekers think I've put so much time into my resume, into completing the application, pursuing this opportunity, and then I don't even hear back. Like they show interest and they kind of disappear.
Yeah, so, and then it makes you feel like, what did I do wrong, or what is wrong with me, or what did I miss? And you're analyzing, and oftentimes it makes people go into some pretty deep funks, and in a negative way. So, anyways, to cut you off, but it can be an emotional, emotionally distraught. For the candidate, especially for people who have been looking for a while. So go ahead.
Absolutely. No, you make an excellent point. It really can be discouraging for candidates. I've had several clients come to me and say, my resume must not be good at all. And then I look at their resume and it's actually not bad. They're actually doing really well, but there are other factors on the employer end that have impacted their ability to continue on as a candidate. And they just don't know that. You know, when an employer disappears from the recruitment process, candidates don't see budget concerns and organizational changes and things that impact that process, which actually leads me to what you were saying, some factors that can cause ghosting or kind of like initiate that. So a lot of things do happen, like you said, with the budget. So sometimes, you know, employers start the recruitment process with a lot of energy and a lot of excitement to bring some new team members on board. But then they find, wow, we've lost the budget for the position, or we didn't have the budget that we thought we had. And they have to kind of put that process on hold. But again, they're not expressing this to candidates.
Yeah.
And it can be some other factors involved as well. Organizational changes. Sometimes they decide, you know what, we don't actually have a need for this position like we thought we did. And in other cases, sometimes people leave their positions in recruitment, in HR, in hiring. So the person that was keeping in contact with the candidate, they may not even be with that organization anymore. So there are definitely several different factors that can cause ghosting.
Yeah, and I think that the employer needs to put themselves in the candidate's shoe, and because
Absolutely.
these are things that even result to negative Glassdoor reviews, is we don't realize
Absolutely.
that impact. So having something in an automatic email responder that just simply gives a status update, I think can
Mhm.
be added to help with that perception, or like you said, it's just simply that this position has now been put on hold, but something
Absolutely.
that communicates what's going on. And I think
Mhm.
it will leave a good taste in not only the employer's mouth, but also obviously the candidate. And it also cuts down on the employer getting those phone calls and those pings that make them
Yes.
crazy, uh,
Yes. So
thinking
true.
that their time or emails and messages that they're not going to be able to return phone calls for. So it's an ounce of prevention. If they just
Mhm.
took the time to update the job posting to even maybe say, if it's on there, this has been put off until, uh, pending, or I don't know. But I
Right.
just think that there's another way that potential employers can communicate when those changes happen. And it will de-stress their lives if they simply stop and communicate what's going on.
Totally agreed.
So
Totally.
now, so now let's flip it on the other side. What
Mhm.
happens, and what are you seeing on candidates
Mhm.
ghosting the employer?
You know what? I'm seeing a number of different things when it comes to candidates that are kind of disappearing from the recruitment process or dropping out of the recruitment process without notice.
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. I worked with a client a little earlier this month who was really excited about this position. We'd actually partnered to develop her resume and kind of help her highlight some of her transferable skills, all that good stuff. Actually, some things that you and I talked about in a previous episode of Culture Hour. So we got to work together on all of that good stuff. And then she actually found out through doing some research after she completed her first and second interviews. She felt like she was on the brink of getting a job offer. She found out that the company was in serious financial trouble. And none of that was disclosed during the interview process. And she let me know that, I didn't email them, I didn't call, I just ignored them. I just kind of moved on to something else. I don't really want to be involved with an organization that's, experiencing financial trouble because I don't know where that could go.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing some situations like that. I'm also seeing some people say, you know what, I got a better offer. I moved on. So it's kind of like similar to what we talked about on the employer end. Things are changing in people's lifestyles and, just they're learning about different opportunities that they can take advantage of, and they're not notifying the employers or the hiring managers.
Which again, an ounce of prevention, you never know when you want to maybe interview with that again, or you find out that that company who is in financial hurt is maybe in the process of being acquired by somebody that you're now interviewing for or with or thinking about, and that
Yeah.
connectivity behind the scenes. So again, those of you who have ghosted a potential employer or thinking
Mm-hmm.
about doing it, you're way better off if you just send, even if it's a last minute,
Right.
sending a communication saying, hey, I've had a change of mind, I'm going to withdraw.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go into, hey, I just heard that you guys are in financial trouble. but
Right. Exactly.
but you certainly should withdraw your name, because again, what happens if all of a sudden that company who is in financial trouble gets
Right.
an infusion of money, and now they
Yeah.
become bigger than what they were before?
Mm-hmm.
If that recruiter is still around, they're going to remember that name. And some systems actually flag, uh,
Right.
applicants to not even bother with them again. So it sounds like our theme around ghosting is it can't all be prevented, but it sounds like the tip is communicate. Say what's going
Communicate.
on. Yeah, what a novel
Yes.
concept. Actually say what's going on. You
Yes.
know, if
Absolutely.
we miss a doctor's appointment, we have to pay a fee for it. It's not like you're going to hunt down an applicant,
Right.
but
Right.
we need to think about the consequences that happen on both sides of the fence when we don't communicate. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And can I add something to that, Shelley?
yeah.
I think you made an excellent point just a moment ago. Some candidates and some employers, because it does work both ways, as we said, feel like it's worse for me to say I no longer want the position. Employers sometimes feel like it's difficult to say we can no longer move forward with you, and they think that that's actually worse than it's like worse to communicate that than to just disappear. And
Yeah.
that's totally untrue.
Yeah.
It can be, disappointing to hear that you can't move forward in the process, or that the candidate no longer wants to move forward, but at least they know, right? That makes all the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am not a fan of text communication, but if somewhere along the line the employer has gained the applicants not only their emails but also their phone numbers to be able to do mass text messages for updates, at least do that. And then from a candidate standpoint, if your potential employer has given you their cell phone along the way and all of a sudden you can't make an appointment, you have a change of mind, even though I think that's unprofessional, and I think that's just because I'm old, but I would rather get a text message that's saying, hey, I'm not going to make the appointment today, I'm no longer interested, than nothing. So
nothing at all.
I don't think we would ever completely stop ghosting, but I do think we can dramatically cut it down if we just put our shoes on the other foot in order to see what the other person might think, and how much stress and drama and assumptions that are made on both sides.
Right.
That sometimes you can sort of gain. And if you are a potential candidate and you want to tell the employer why, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
For example, it could be, hey, I just read an article about your company's financial state because I'm keeping up. Obviously, I saw something on LinkedIn, I saw something on the news, or quite frankly, I did research in your Glassdoor reviews. You are doing a professional favor, and I'm not saying doing it in a mean way, but and the same thing goes for the employer. If you really want to know what's going on, reach back out to the person who removed their name for consideration and just find out if it's something that can be avoided, in the future. So oftentimes employers take too long. They take too long to get back, and they think that the candidate's going to wait and wait and wait. And most people don't have money in the bank to wait. So.
Exactly. That's their livelihood. People have to, we know it's not going to be an immediate process. Candidates are well aware of that, and they expect some waiting time, but I think it is helpful, like you said, communicate throughout that process, but also keep in mind, like you said, put yourself in their shoes. They may have other opportunities that they have to consider, because like you said, the bank account's not going to let you wait for so long.
That's right. That's right.
Keep in mind. Yeah.
Exactly. One of my colleagues says the real accountability partners is the bank. The people who, Dominion Power, those are my accountability partners.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show again today. And just a reminder for all the viewers, of course, if you are a part of the membership, the Culture Curators, the Culture Curators and Conversation membership, you can get access to all kinds of tips and more from both of us. So we do invite you, personally invite you in to join us, and also always be on the lookout for more information about upping your culture curation itself. And you can do that by becoming a certified professional culture curator. Learn the system, the method, and the processes that I have learned myself and now created and ready to share with all of you. So until then, any final words that you would like to tell the group?
Thank you again for having me, Shelly. I think that we made some excellent points here. I hope this is really helpful, because as we said, ghosting is becoming even more prominent in our job market. But like you said, communication is key on both ends. So I'm really glad we got to share that message today.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great day. Peace out. And remember, culture matters.